Lindon B Johnson, it worked. Me signing the Civil Rights Act in 1964 still got the black people voting Democrat 60 years later. 140 plus more years to go, as I predicted. Lindon B Johnson. In case you don't know what he said, we're going to show you what he said about getting blacks to vote for the Democratic Party and committing treason. Committing treason. We're going to go into that in another video about how they got you to commit treason to go against your own structure. The word democracy is not in the Constitution. The Civil Rights Act of 1964, it's an act. It is an act, A-C-T. It is not a law. It's an act, which means they can get together and decide if they're going to continue to give you rights. So every 40 years or so, they have to get together and decide if they're going to keep it going or not. Civil Rights Act. It's not a civil rights law. It's an act, 1964. So let's go into Lindon B Johnson here a little bit, in case some of you out there don't know exactly what he was behind and how masterful he did it here. So this is from Valuetainment. You all know the gentleman Valuetainment. I believe he's from Iran. I'm going to read this to you first. It says, these Negroes, they're getting pretty uppity these days, and that's a problem for us since they've got something now they never had before. See that? They never had before. The political pull to back up their uppityness. Okay, now we've got to do something about this. We've got to give them a little something, just enough to quiet them down, not enough to make a difference. I'll have those niggers voting Democratic for the next 200 years. Listen a little bit to Valuetainment on Valuetainment YouTube.
They're getting pretty uppity these days, and that's a problem for us. They've got something now they've never had before, the political pull to back up their uppityness. Now we've got to do something about this, and we've got to give them a little something, just enough to quiet them down, not enough to make a difference, and then boom, you know that line, you brought it up, I'll have them voting this way, Democratic for the next 200 years. Yes. You know what Snopes said? Snopes didn't say it's not right. Go a little bit more. It says unproven. And yeah. Snopes is one that would typically be quick to say they never said this. Then CNBC writes an article, if you can pull this one up. CNBC writes an article saying Lyndon Johnson was a civil rights hero, but also a racist. And if you look at the stuff about him, how many times he dropped the N-word and all this other stuff, this guy was not wanting to do what he did with civil rights. Credit goes to one man and the community that pushed it. There's a reason why we all have a poster or painting of him in our offices and our walls, and he's admired by everybody. It doesn't matter, left, right, center, white, black, Asian, Hispanic. Everybody loves and admires what this man did. One of the greatest movements of all time. He accomplished it in a peaceful way, different than X. He was able to get it done, right? Okay. At that time, can you type in civil rights?
He's speaking of Martin Luther King, who basically admitted that he was integrating his people into a burning building when he found out what it was really all about. He admitted that there were some other things he should have been about and should have been doing, but Martin Luther King was a part of the program as well, even though Value Entertainment's going to say he's a hero to everyone. A lot of people at the time were against what Martin Luther King was doing. Basically, the establishment wanted integration. It had a lot to do with basically bankrupting you and getting you to give up a lot of your businesses to begin to support other businesses. So if you understand about nationality and the civil rights movement and what it did to those who were practicing nationality, and our dollar basically circulated around our communities before the Civil Rights Act. It went around our communities about 9 times before it left. Now it doesn't circulate once before it leaves. So the Civil Rights Act, integration, the whole thing basically hurt us very, very bad as far as economics. But the civil rights movement was a part of the plan. A bigger part of the plan was to get you to specifically support the Democratic Party, the agenda, which has always been, at that time, even during MLK. If you look up Rustin Banyard, he was a homosexual that wrote MLK's speeches. It was very lot of, there was a lot of homosexuals around at the time. They were just in the closet, but they were always around the civil rights movement, writing in on the back of that, if not funding it. A lot of them were funding it. A lot of them were very, very wealthy, as they are today. And you also had the socialist and the communist parties who were funding the same things, your demise, to get you to support the Democratic Party wholly, 100%. Not a split, but specifically wholly. And it's been that way since the 1960s, since these things came to be. But this video is off Valuetainment. If you'd like to watch the whole thing, you can pull that up on YouTube. Just wanted to show you a little bit about Lindon B Johnson and having you niggas vote Democratic Party for 200 years. Yeah, niggas. Civil rights movement, black, Negro, colored. Black, Negro, or colored is not a nationality. African American is not a nationality. Jesse Jackson introduced African American. And now we have the American descendants of African slaves. All these titles are not nationalities. None of them are nationalities, which provides you no protection under law, LAWS laws, land, air, water, sun. You have no protection under laws anywhere on the earth. They just decide if they want to give it to you or not. You have a privilege that they can take away whenever they feel like they can take it away. You don't have any rights under black, Negro, colored, African American, or a slave or an ex-slave. So take it any way you want to take it.
It'd be funny if it weren't so pathetic. No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.
Now, how can all of you that claim to be so spiritual not hear that that's a witch laughing? You don't know about the laughing rituals that the witches do and the warlocks do? All of you spiritual brothers and sisters, you spiritual Negroes, you can't tell what that is. You can't discern that spirit.
Yeah. No.
It's interesting. You know what's interesting? No, but
I keep forgetting I'm president.
Oh, look at what my eyes behold.
I think that's enough. I hope some of y'all discern that spirit. Some of you spiritual people, I hope you can discern the spirit, because it looks like y'all missed it. You need some more? Let's get some more. Get some more.
So I decided I was going to start prosecuting parents for truancy.
That's funny. Hope you got the message. If you didn't, more to come. Oh, that's her husband, by the way. There's Mr. Emhoff. Well, I paused it just in time for you to see her husband. There's the powerful black power. For the black community, there it is right there. Interracial agenda. IR agenda. Today's IR agenda, interracial agenda. Oh, that's her husband right there. Big, strong brother. The explosion of the black sororities and fraternities, obvious bias to one political party. This was also exposed during the 2024-2025 presidential campaign. This article is inside Higher Education, inside highered.com, July 30th, 2024. Black sororities and fraternities organized like never before. Never before. And it goes on to talk about the organizations are mobilizing to get voters to the polls as their student and alumni members have embraced Alpha Kappa Alpha member Kamala Harris's presidential campaign. So, what's very interesting is I believe it was Obama was the last one to give a lot of funding to HBCUs. I think he was the second. His administration gave the second highest percentages of money to HBCUs, but you know who was the first? You know who gave the most to HBCUs? And I'm wondering why they would overwhelmingly support Harris, because she's a AKA. But even the other sororities and fraternities, the Omegas and Kappas and Alphas and everyone else, was overwhelmingly backing Harris. But I want you to hear who really gave the most to HBCUs. Let's listen.
HBCUs lit up again when Beyonce announced she was donating $100,000 to black colleges. And some people claim that Trump has given more HBCUs federal dollars than any other president. So, you know what we did? Our verified team looked into that claim. And according to the Education Department's latest records, President Obama held the records for allocating the most federal funds in 2010. And this year, President Trump topped that, setting aside more than $360 million for HBCUs. Now, as of tonight, we can verify the online rumor is true. President Trump has pushed more federal dollars toward historically black colleges and universities than any of his predecessors. For HBCUs lit up again with Beyonce.
Yeah. Because I'm not surprised. Because there seems to be just a lot of mainstream news outlets are just, for some reason, they just fucking lie, and they're not reporting the truth on what was actually being done. So I think there's a lot of things that were exposed during the 2025 elections between Harris and Trump, some things that you all missed, specifically with the nationality, specifically with the corruption coming from one specific side, specifically with the LGBTQ community. If you are for that, then you're not really for the traditional family. You're not for procreation and recreation. You're not for passing on generational wealth, because that can't lead to generational wealth. And if you're not for that, then that's your decision. That's cool. Just be honest about it. It exposed quite a few things. The interracial agenda, the way they're promoting the white male with the black female these days, and mocking it the other way around. We never heard any criticism from black women about Kamala Harris being married to a white Jewish man with white Jewish children, but we heard the criticism of the black man Brian Daniels, a Republican, him being married to a white woman. But it was okay for her to be married to a white man. So it's just, we can go on and on with some other things that were exposed to the justice system, the bipartisan, the definite, overwhelming bias of the mainstream news that leans way Democratic, way left. And that's something that I just was awakened to probably about 4 years ago, how about 6 years ago, how the news is way far left. It's left slant big time, and it's a problem. It's a problem. But these are some things that were exposed during the elections, and if the sororities and fraternities, the black sororities and fraternities, are going to lean left, if they're going to be biased to the Democratic Party, considering everything they stand for, that's going to be a problem in the community. Some things will never change, and perhaps that's been put there and placed there for reasons. And I've spoken to several members of fraternities about the elections and who was who. I pointed out some obviously lies, some blatant lies. Had some very good conversations, but at the end of the day, a couple of them still decided to do that. So the so-called black community, black is not a nationality, has a lot of things that need to be worked out, straightened out, discussed, reevaluated, the whole nine. Solid, SOLID, Mind, MIND Productions at gmail.com. If it doesn't happen, nothing's going to change. And perhaps this is probably why all these things were put in place. Peace.